After 2 years of self-imposed exile in South Africa, former Botswana President Ian Khama says he is ready to head home. Khama has claimed that there were attempts on his life which prevented him from returning. He has written to the United Nations requesting an urgent investigation into ongoing threats to his life and safety, but this has yielded little results. Now Khama says that he must go back and face whatever is waiting for him there. The rift between Khama and Botswana's current president, who is ironically handpicked by his predecessor, has widened in the 4 years since the incumbent took office. Sources, however, have said that there have been attempts at initiating a reconciliation. This week, Botswana publication reported that Masisi had adopted a more reconciliatory tone, urging members of his party to desist from fueling hatred and dislike between him and Khama. It must be noted that I wish that one day I and my president Ian Khama would talk and forgive each other. He is still my president. I supported him fully during his tenure, Maggie quoted Masisi as saying. I do not believe in hate, and today I encourage our members to desist or stop spreading hate speech or telling untruths because it causes war among us. Khama told his team that he had received a number of calls and messages from people informing him about Masisi's remarks. Previous attempts by others with whom I cooperated have all failed. So in this response to his public statement, let me publicly respond by saying that I have asked my brother Chekedi Khama to return to Botswana and meet with President Masisi in order to commence the process of reconciliation in our nation's interest, a statement from Khama reads. In an interview with the media in Johannesburg this week, Botswana's former leader said his country had been a slide backwards, adding that he was to blame for choosing Masisi to take over him from 2018. Although reconciliation has been touted, Khama said there had been no further action. There are still more than a dozen charges hanging over his head, including the unlawful possession of a firearm. In December, a warrant of arrest was issued for his detention, but South Africa has not received a request for extradition. Even if they put the extradition request, I'd welcome it. Maybe that court processes would then allow me to expose everything that's going on. We would go to court and say, this is why I'm not going back to my country. That is what happened in the country, he said. The media sent Botswana government spokesperson John Dipoe questions on the reconciliation extradition requests and the firearm case, but had not received a response by the time of publication. All of this happened as Khama readies himself to take on the position of president of Botswana Patriotic Front. Khama joined the Botswana Patriotic Front, a breakaway from the ruling Botswana Democratic Party that has seen some election success in its strongholds in 2019 as a patron. Constituencies which had been held by the ruling party since independence more than 50 years ago. They lost for the first time ever. That was my crime, he said. In 2024, Botswana will hold a general election, and Khama has vowed that the Botswana Patriotic Front will contest, possibly in collision with other smaller political parties, to right what I did wrong. In April, Botswana Patriotic Front will hold its elective congress, and Khama said he would find out from the Botswana Patriotic Front National Executive Committee what role they would like me to play. Recently, I received a delegation from members of the party asking me to stand as the party president of the Botswana Patriotic Front. Up until then, I said I wasn't going to stand, but then the president of the party is also the chief campaigner, and so it's something I am considering, he added. Khama said during by-elections, smaller parties have signed a memorandum of understanding to support each other against the ruling party. Going towards the national election, there's that same feeling that there must be an arrangement between the parties and we should agree on a presidential candidate, he said. And then they rally behind the person. But I would not be available to be state president again. I have done my time. Khama said his role now was to contribute towards a flourishing democracy in Botswana because it was his fault in bringing about regime change in Botswana, another reference to his hand-picking Masisi as his successor. Khama filed court papers to set aside the warrants of arrest against himself, former head of intelligence Isaac Gossi, suspended police commissioner Kabetse Magope, and Victor Paledi, a former deputy permanent secretary in the Ministry of Youth, Gender, Sports and Culture. They each face more than a dozen counts relating to the possession of an unlicensed firearms. According to the court papers filed in August 2022, Khama argues that the decision to charge him and the others is inherently reviewable because aside from being politically motivated, there are no reasonable grounds for its success. He insists that all the firearms and ammunition in question were registered and licensed. I further state that the first respondents, the Director of Public Prosecution's decision to prosecute the second applicant, Isaac Gossi, and I, is a clear abuse of process because it was made under the influence and/or coercion of third parties, to which the Directorate of Intelligence Service operating under the Office of the President reads the court filing.